Hey, how's it going? My name is Gareth James. Welcome back to MTT Poker School. Now today we're going to look at a fascinating hand from the Super Tuesday final table that included the likes of Giraffe Ganger, Jen Bizzle and Greenstone25. Let's take a look at the hand. It starts three-handed with Making Mo raising from the button with King 10 offsuit, and it folds to Greenstone in the big blind, who makes the call with the 8-7 of clubs. The flop comes Ace of clubs, 4 of diamonds, 10 of clubs, Greenstone checks, and Making Mo bets just under 30% pot. Greenstone calls with the 8 high flush draw, and they see a turn. The turn is the 5 of diamonds, giving Greenstone a double gut shot now to go with his flush draw. He checks, Making Mo bets pot, and Greenstone jams. Making Mo tanks and eventually calls. The river is the 9 of diamonds, and Greenstone scoops a nice sized pot with the straight. Today we're going to put ourselves in Greenstone's shoes and look at all the decision points in the hand. We'll also discuss Making Mo's decision to bet the turn and call versus the jam, since they both go against what Pio would recommend. Let's make a start. So I ran this spot in MonkerSolver, and this is what it believes the button should open here. He is the chip leader, so you should expect a pretty wide range, and you can see that it's recommending opening around 62% of hands. So this is what Monker believes we should be calling with in the big blind in this spot. It is a lot tighter than a normal big blind defense versus a button open at 30 big blinds, but that's going to be because of a couple of reasons. One is the ICM implication, so there's a decent amount of pressure on us in this spot. But also there's only half the antes in the middle. There's only 3 players posting an ante as opposed to like 8 or 9. So the odds that we're getting pre-flop are much, much less, and therefore we have to call a tighter range. Now in this spot, we are going to have some 3-bets, and we're also going to have some jams. So let's take a look at those as well. So in terms of 3-bets, then you can see definitely going for a 3-bet with aces and kings and ace-king suited and ace-jack suited, and then a few other hands mixed in. Interestingly, pocket queens is not 3-bet very often. It actually goes into a jamming range. Let's take a look at that jamming range now. So the hands that we want to jam in this situation is going to be our best offsuit ace-x hands, ace-king, ace-queen, ace-jack. We're going to have some ace-queen suited in there. And then what I think is quite interesting is that queens, jacks, 10s, 9s, 8s, and 7s go into a jamming range. Now, also what is interesting is to see that Jack 9 suited, 10 9 suited, 10 8 suited, and 9 8 suited are 100% jams in this situation. I'm not sure if that's what Greenstone's doing in this spot, but it's what Monker is recommending for this situation. So we take a look at the equities, then out of positions is 48.9 and in positions is 51.1. And this might come as a bit of a surprise because normally on an ace-10-4 board, button versus big blind 30 bigs effective, the in-position player is going to have a huge equity advantage. It might be as big as 60 or 65%. But in this situation, they have a really wide range. It's like 60+% of hands. And the big blind's calling range is that much tighter because of the effects of ICM and also the lower pot odds that they're getting pre-flop. So because of that, the equities actually run pretty close together. And I think that could come as a bit of a surprise to some of you. So let's take a look at 2-pair plus, and you can see out of position has 4.7% of their range is 2-pair plus, and then for in position it's just 4.1%. So out of position slightly edges it, but it is pretty close. Well, it's a pretty simple one. We're just going to start with a check. So the button in this situation did go ahead and bet the small sizing, and if we look at their strategy here, you can see that 85% of the time it wants to take this small sizing, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this small sizing taken 100% of the time. So you can see that there's a tiny amount of checking, a lot of small betting, and some big betting as well. So against the small sizing then, we're going to do a decent amount of calling, around 56% of our range. We're going to find some raises with about 8.6%, and then we're going to fold the rest. Let's take a quick look at what we're doing with different chunks of our range. You can see that sets we're wanting to raise. We don't have aces or 10s. We would have 3-bet or jammed those pre-flop. 2-pair then, we are mixing. Top pairs, we're doing a lot of calling, not going for a raise in this spot. So you might see a lot of the time 30 big blinds effective that top pairs or your best top pairs do get raised in this spot, and you can see there's a tiny amount of going on with ace-9, but I think in non-ICM situations, so not at the final table, there would be a lot more raising going on with those hands. Second pairs just pure call. Third pairs lots of calling, tiny amount of raising with the hands at the bottom of this range. So you can see that 4-3 of clubs, which has the pair and the flush draw, wanting to go for a call. Same thing with 5-4 of clubs as well. But then spades and hearts in both of these examples want to start mixing, sometimes calling and sometimes raising. Low pairs just going for a call, the pocket threes. King highs, we're going to do a decent amount of folding, so we're obviously going to continue with the gut shots in this spot. But then when we get to the weaker king high hands, we're going to want to have the backdoor flush draw. And actually, if we click on EV rescaled, you can see that even a hand like king of spades, nine of clubs, you can see it in the bottom right hand corner. The EV is really, really low, so you can probably pass on that. And honestly, even king of clubs, nine of spades, the EV really isn't that high, so you might even be able to pass on that too. And it's the same thing with all these other offsuit king X hands. If we hover over, king nine of diamonds, let's click on strategy. You can see that it wants to call king nine of diamonds, but again, the EV is pretty low, and I think you probably could just pass on this spot. We take a look at nothing then. We're doing a lot of folding. Obviously, these are gut shots once again, and same with these down here, but everything else seems to want to go ahead and fold. If we hover over here, these are going to be flush draws, which we'll get to in a minute. Combo draws then, never folding. We do start doing some raising with these weaker ones, but just calling with the stronger ones. And then flush draws, doing a lot of calling and not too much raising, only raising like 21% of the time here. I think this is pretty interesting because when we do raise here and then get jammed on, Pio is suggesting that we can actually fold all of our flush draws and I think all of our combo draws. Let's just check that to make sure. So let's say that we raise and our opponent now jams. We go back into Range Explorer and have a look at combo draws. You can see it's folding 96% of the time. Really only wants to continue with Queen Jack of clubs a little bit of the time. If we click on EV rescaled, you can see it's just barely profitable. We click on flush draws, you can see now it's folding pretty much 100% of the time. So what that means is we can't just raise all of our flush draws in this spot if we're then just going to fold them versus the jam. Let's now take a look at 4-out straight draws, and you can see that it's never folding the gut shots, does do some raising with the weaker ones as you can see down here, and a tiny amount of raising with the Queen Jack as well. So when we call and we click on equity, you can see out of positions equity suddenly jumps up to 60% and in positions goes down to 40. So out of position now has the equity advantage going into the turn. Now the reason for this is that the out of position player is only calling or continuing with hands that have pretty decent equity, whereas the in position player was betting their entire range, so now has much lower equity hands in that range. So we choose the 6 of diamonds then and look at the equities. You can see out of position has 58% equity and in position has around 42. So we click on 2 pair plus, then we can see out of position has 8.3% of their range now is 2 pair plus, and in positions is 7.2%. So once again, the out of position player is going to edge it for those strong 2 pair plus type hands. So as you can see, we're doing a lot of checking, pretty much pure check on the 6 of diamonds. So on the turn then, I gave a few options for bet sizes. I gave 40% pot size bet, which is what was used, and then an overbet as well. So obviously there could be different bet sizes used in this hand, but since the player chose the pot size bet, I gave a smaller bet, which is the 40% pot, and I gave an overbet as well. Now here you can see that the pot size bet is the one that's used most frequently, or it just goes ahead and checks. Let's take a look at some hands that it goes ahead and bets. So we can see all sets going to go ahead and bet for this big size, the pot size bet. Same with 2 pair. Top pair then, the best top pair is going for the big bet. Remember that out of position was just calling a lot of their ace-x hands, not raising them on the flop. So this is why some of the weaker ace-x hands in this situation are just getting checked back. Under pairs just going for a check now. Second pairs going for a check, lots of checking here. Let's have a quick look at some of these. So these are just going to be 10x with the flush draw as well. So they just have that little bit more equity. Third pairs then, lots of checking. There is a little bit of betting going on here, again with 7-6 of clubs, so pair plus a flush draw, giving that a bit more equity. But once we get up to king 6, actually prefers going with the spades and hearts. Low pairs, generally just checking. Again, some betting going on with clubs down here. King highs, lots of checking. Let's have a look at these weaker ones down here. There is some betting going on with the weaker ones. Lots of betting happening then with the nothing type hands. You can see like 9-5 of spades just going for a bet. Lots of hands in this region here, which are going to be gut shots and double gut shots as well. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see. Let's have a look at combo draws then. So some checking going on with our best combo draws. Starts betting with the Queen Jack and then checking a lot more frequently with the weaker ones in this spot. Flush draws, once again, mixing, going for the bet with these best ace highs, and then betting these ones down here as well, which have probably pretty decent equity. Let's just check that. So you can see that the equity here for these hands is roughly 49–50% plus. 8 out straight draws then, again, mixing, going for some bets with 8-7 off, checking back 8-7 suited more frequently, 7-5 suited pure check, 5-3 suited mixing. And then the 4 out straight draw, the weakest ones going for the bet and the strongest ones going for a check. So versus the pot size bet, then we are going to fold around 52% of the time. We're going to call around 43%, and then we do find some raises. Let's take a closer look then. So with our sets, we're going to call with 6s. We're going to raise 4s if we still had them. I think we do a lot of raising with 4s on the flop. 2 pair, we're going to mix. Top pairs, we're just going to go for the call once again. Second pair, then we do start folding, but if we hover over here, you can see that we're very happy to call with like king 10 of diamonds. So second pair with a flush draw, and that goes for a lot of these as well. You can see like 10-3 of diamonds, 10-5 of diamonds, 10-7 of diamonds, but spades and hearts just finding the fold. Third pairs then going for the call. You can see that it's just mainly 6x of clubs, so those are the only 6x hands that we get to this turn with, and we can continue with all of them. Low pairs, we do start finding some folds, but again, pair plus flush draw, we are just going to continue, as you can see here. King highs then going for mainly a fold. We are continuing with the flush draws, so gut shots and flush draws here you can see, and the same goes with these king highs here, but then we start folding the weaker ones. When it comes to nothing then, mainly just folding, but we do start finding some raises, and you can see here queen jack suited wants to go for a call, but then when we get down to 8-7 of clubs, for example, wants to go for a raise, 8-7 of diamonds, mainly calling but sometimes raising, 7-5 of clubs going for the raise, 5-3 of clubs and diamonds going for the raise too. Obviously 5-3 of spades, 5-3 of hearts, now just finding the fold. So some of these will be included in combo draws as well. You can see 8-7 of clubs, 7-5 of clubs, 5-3 of clubs, 5-3 of diamonds going for the raise. So it looks to me like it's taking its weakest combo draws without any showdown value and raising them. You can certainly get much better hands to fold when you raise these hands, and then choosing to call the top combo draws in this spot. Flush draws then, we do start folding some flush draws. We want to have something else to go with our hand in this situation. If we click on EV rescaled, even a hand like king 5 of clubs is starting to lose money, so not necessarily a great call in this spot. But you can see that we are calling most of the time and folding some hands. 8 out straight draws now, we're just going ahead and finding the fold. And the same thing goes with the gut shots. So if you do have a gut shot in this spot, you want to have a flush draw to go with it. Let's go back and have a look at the strategy for imposition on the turn. And you can see king 10 offsuit just likes to go ahead and check back in this spot. If you do go ahead and bet and then get jammed on, then it's actually suggesting you should just go ahead and fold with the king 10 off. So it looks to me to be a pretty big mistake in this spot. Let's just go back and have a quick look at the EVs. So you can see that checking is by far the better option in this spot. Even just betting small is going to be better than betting pot. And then when we do get jammed on, let's have a look at EVs again. And it is, folding is going to be 0, but calling is going to actually start losing us money. So I think it probably is a mistake. Maybe there is another reason why the call was made. I'm not here to judge anyone's call. I'm just looking at the facts and looking at the PIO readout. Okay, so that's going to wrap things up for this video. I hope you enjoyed the analysis. If you've got any questions or comments, be sure to leave them below. If you like the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button right now. This has been Gareth James for MTT Poker School. Until next time, guys, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.